Yes, you're joined by myself, Martin, and my colleague Paul today. A few of you have probably already seen my videos and heard my voice. If you've been watching our YouTube and following us for the last 8 years, then most of you probably know who I am. But I am joined by one of my new colleagues who's been with us 6 months, Paul Patterson, who's one of our field service specialists.
Yeah, thanks for that intro, Martin. Yeah, so as Martin said, I've been here 6 months, worked with Dynamics for approaching 10 years, about a similar age to that photograph that you can see on screen currently. And I've been specialising on field service over the past 4 years. I'll hand back over to Martin, who will run you through the agenda for today's webinar.
Brilliant, thanks, Paul. Yeah, as you can see on the left-hand side, we're gonna cover off with a few of these new points that have been sort of deployed with the field service app over the last 2 years. We're going to start with the field service mobile app. We're then going to show you how we can do inspections through the mobile app, knowledge base articles with assets on the work orders as well. Show you how you can do service reports through the mobile app as well. It's quite common that you want to generate a report off the back of some work that you've carried out on site. The new schedule board, show you some of the analysis reports as well, so you can sort of analyze your data as well. Resource scheduling optimization and the freebies that come with that section as well now to help you do some more advanced scheduling. And then we're going to move on to the self-service portal and technician location. It's not currently available until September, so we're just going to show you a few PowerPoints when it comes to that, but just really to show you what is coming and what's on the roadmap really. So yeah, just going to hand back to Paul. We're just going to turn our webcams off. We'll turn them back on when we get to the Q&A at the end of the webinar, but we're just going to move into the field service mobile apps. Paul, over to you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Martin. So before we actually get in and show you guys the app, just going to talk about the sort of history of the field service mobile app. Obviously, we've got a mixed audience today. Some of you guys are already using field service, the Resco app, or Xamarin as it's known now. And for those of you guys who are looking to get into the field service world with Microsoft, then we're going to be looking at the app that you can see on screen there now, which is a sort of fully fledged model-driven app with offline capabilities. So I've got 2 quick slides that I want to show you before we get into the actual demo. So I guess the main thing I want to call out here for the existing customers is those of you who are using Resco, Microsoft have imposed a deadline by next June for you guys to move away from that app. And obviously Preact will be here to help you on that journey. So obviously there's a process that we need to go through there. So it will be probably working in your sandbox environment. We should have an understanding of what you use currently, and I guess we'll review that and see how that fits in line with some of the capabilities in the new app. And then we'll have a migration plan to help you move from there to the new app. So as we said, we will obviously do the work in the sandbox environment. We'll set up your users. We'll work with you to create your sitemap, and then the offline profile. A lot of this comes as out of the box, which is what we're going to show you currently. So you may find that actually the out of the box field service app doesn't need much tailoring to your organization. But if it does, then again, we're on hand to help you with that. Then we'd always, even if you're migrating or going for the new app, recommend a pilot where you get a subset of your engineers to use the app, mimic real jobs or actually start performing real jobs through field service. So they get a feel of maybe some of the pain points or some of the things that you need to tweak to fit your business need. And then once we've been through that and the guys have tested it and you're happy, we'll then work with you to deploy that into your production instance. And then for those of you on our managed service, you'll be sort of fully covered in our support anyway. So we're now going to dive into the app itself so you can see that. Okay, so over to Martin, who's going to bring up his mobile, and we'll have a look at the app together.
Cool, thanks, Paul. Hopefully this will work. Is that coming through? Yes, yeah. I think. Yeah, so as you can see on the mobile phone, the icon looks very different. This is the new icon, so obviously if you're on the old version, you'd probably have the old image of the van. You would need to go onto the App Store and download this new version here on Field Service. But if I just click into this quickly, you can see when we go into it, because it's a model-driven app, if I click over here onto the sort of the 3 lines, you can see the sitemap is configured exactly the same as you would expect any of the apps that you can do now on the model-driven apps in Dynamics. So If you need to make any changes to the field service mobile app, your administrators can go ahead and do this. They don't have to now do this, like Paul said earlier, through the Resco app itself. A couple of other things they've added to the app as well. Obviously, the ability to look at recently viewed items. You can click on here, the little icon on the left-hand side is recently viewed, which you get in Dynamics. And obviously, you've got the pinned one. So if you click on the pin here as well, it will show you all your pinned accounts. So it's quite useful for your guys to pin some of the accounts or some of the projects or jobs they're working on that week, so they don't have to keep searching for that and navigate to that. Talking of searching, we've got the little icon at the top here. It's the universal search. You can go in here and you can type any value and then it will return all your results. Very similar to how the universal search works in Dynamics itself as well. You've got the ability to quickly create any record. So if you click on the plus, exactly the same as Dynamics works now. It allows you to do a quick create, and then again, your administrators can specify which records you can quickly create on the fly. It's quite useful if you need to create a new lead. Sometimes people are doing that out and about, or a new account, or adding a new asset in and things like that if you're on site and you need to quickly install something when you're there. A couple of things in the settings area. So if I just click on the three dots again, you can see down here, we've got offline capability. So this offline capability here, it will tell you if you're online or offline. Obviously, if you're in a remote location and you go offline, you can carry on working in the app, filling out all your details. As soon as you connect to 3G, 4G or a Wi-Fi hotspot, obviously it will then sync your changes up to the system in real time. And then the last thing you can see down here is the little settings icon. This is a really cool feature, I think. A couple of things you can do again is you can set your different types of calendar controls, how many records per page. You can never used to be able to do this. Obviously, this is a feature of Dynamics, has been for years. But this one here, the location tracking. You can specify now to track the location. Obviously, it will say, look, by enabling this, we're going to be tracking you through the app, blah, blah, blah. But what it does is it now enables you to be able to track whoever's using this phone, where they are in the world, based on their latitude, longitude, location. Photo library, if I enable this option, and obviously then it allows you to then just pick an image that's already stored on your device that you can pull in and attach to a job. You can specify your photo resolution. Video recording, if I say yes to that, again, I just turn it on, it goes green. It now enables me to do video recording through the app. Same with the microphone. It's like dictaphone. You can start capturing some notes just by holding down the microphone button. And of course, turning on notifications in the app as well. So it should pop up with a few alerts just to give you a few of those notifications, maybe to say, you know, you've got a new booking or something like that. So just coming out of that, before I go into the work, I want to show you some of those controls on the actual booking itself. A couple of things you can also do down here now on the More section is very similar you can do if you were using, you know, the Dynamics app via the internet browser on your desktop. So emailing a link, refreshing the page, pulling up your assistant, running a flow, and then obviously that pulls in Power Automate, and then you can have a lot of automation around that. Running a few Excel templates, exporting to Excel you never used to be able to do as well, and a few of these other values that you can use and run in here as well. So you're putting a lot more control into the end user engineer's hands. There's a lot more things they can and can't do within this app. So just to show you, if I click into this one that I've got set up for today, 3 o'clock this afternoon, can't do it because obviously we're in here. But you can see if I click into it, we'll come on to a few of these other things in a second. But if we just scroll across to this timeline, then you can see, because I've enabled some of those controls, this is where we can then add those in. So when I need to add an attachment, I just click on the attachment option here. I can then attach something from my photo library potentially. If I click on the microphone and hold that down, I can talk into the phone speaker. I can speak, you know, something about the job or add some notes in, so I haven't got to type it up. And that will get added as a note. It will use speech to text capabilities to add a note against this for me. Equally, I could click on the video option here, providing we've enabled that, as previously I just said. That will then record a video and attach that against the note. And the same thing with images. It's really common that you might be out and about and you need to take before and after photos on site for various reasons. So we've got all of those options in here as well if we need to. Now I'm just going to flick back to the main screen. Again, you can see I've set this up to be my bookings, you know, set to agenda. If I change that, obviously change that to my day, then looking at today, there's everything I need to do for my list today. And then I can just flick between the days in here. If I go back to the agenda, this is everything you've got in your working week. So you can see if you scroll up and down, then obviously you can see what's happening the day before, what's happening tomorrow and things like that. It's quite useful just for your guys to see, if they're doing stopovers and things like that. So that's that. I think now we're just going to move on to the inspection. So I'm just going to quickly show you what an inspection looks like on the mobile app, and then we'll flick back into the actual Dynamics field service and show you how we set that inspection up to start with. I'm just going to click into the pre-actual charge point installation I've got set up for today. A couple of things just to note. You can see when you go into the actual booking itself is you've got the status. So currently it's in schedule status. These statuses will feed nicely into the schedule board. Start time, the end time, the duration. We click onto the customer tab, really quite useful. Again, you can see the address details in there. The address is changed slightly and you get there and it's different. You can click on the little pencil here and you can edit that as well. You can see scrolling down here, it shows me on a map where this is. And if I click on get directions, it will just use whatever default map app I have set up on my phone, whether that's Waze, iMaps, Google Maps. It's entirely up to the user, whatever they want to use for that. But if we just click over here onto the service tasks, click on service, a couple of things we can do in here. Obviously, this hasn't really changed much. It's a set of tasks we need to carry out. And you can see we've got the option of just saying, okay, I've done that. So I just click on, say, the pre-install photos. I click tick. It's now saying I've done that. I don't need to go into that to actually do that. But this one here, the pre-install server, you can see we've got the little icon here on the right-hand side, and that's telling us that this has an inspection associated to it. So instead of clicking on the tick here, I click on the word pre-install survey, and it takes me into this. So this is the survey that we've set up. You can see if I just scroll down here, Paul will show you in a second how we set this up, and it's basically a set of fields that you guys customize, and it's type of property. So Paul's added this as a control, and then he specified the values. So if I say it's a detached property, it's in the garage. If I take a photo, I can just click on the photo option here, or I'll choose a file. If I click choose file, you can see it will ask you to pick something from your machine, from your device, or if I click on photo itself, I'm now basically scanning or taking a photo of that fuse box. I take that, I click use photo. That photo now gets uploaded against the inspection. You can see it's in there. If I didn't like it, I can just click delete and then I can do it again. I can then come down here and then I've got a few other options. These are just different controls. So I could then tick this to say, yes, I've installed it on the external wall. Total distance, again, it's just a number. Don't know, 4 meters, something like that. Any additional information, you can fill something in here. And again, any additional photos that you need to do in here, if you need to. Click done. And then of course, once you've done all of that, you can fill out anything else you need to in there, and this can be fully customized as well, this work order service task section. But when you're happy, you just click save in the top right hand corner, and that is now an inspection completed. I'm just going to obviously go back out of this. I can now tick this to say I've now done that, and then I can just work through in the same manner that I would normally, just saying yes, I've done this, I've done this, I've done that, and I've done some installation labor. Obviously, once you've finished that, you'll click back on your booking status and you'll mark that as completed. Just going to leave this one open because I think we're going to show you a few other things against the work order and the assets a bit later on the KBR calls. But in the meantime, I'm going to hand you back to Paul now, who's going to show you how we set that inspection up from the field service app itself as an administrator.
I've already navigated to the field service settings area and I've come down to inspection templates. So you can see that we've got a few here, and I think the one that Martin was looking at was the pre-installation survey. So I'm just going to go into here. And one of the most recently released features is the ability now to revise your inspections. So I guess if we click revise here, and those of you who are eagle-eyed out there may have spotted the spelling mistake we had on this question here. So this was meant to be location of charge point, not share point. So we could update that. But I guess the main things I want to call out here on this screen are the ability to add new questions. And we've got different question types here, our text box, checkbox, the file that Martin explained before, which will allow you to upload photos, for example. And it's fairly easy. It's a drag and drop design. We can add questions there. We can change the name. We can change the order. We can specify whether they're required or not. And then we've also now got the capability of adding logic in. So depending on the answers to some of those questions, we can now create rules to, show a certain question, skip to a different page, for example. So it's all quite good stuff, and again helps the engineer when he's out on screen to guide him through the correct sort of route, if you will. So that's inspections, and now we're going to hop on to knowledge articles. So just give me a second and we'll be on with that. Yeah, okay, so onto knowledge articles. Just going to drag in another screen that I've handily prepared. So knowledge-based articles, for those of you who've been using Dynamics for I guess any period of time, you've probably come across knowledge articles. They are the ability to, in this case, we've got a step-by-step guide here, some images in there. So these were being previously sort of restricted, if you will, to the case or customer service area. But now we can add them onto work orders. So I've created a knowledge article here, step-by-step guide. It's also got links to videos. We've got images in here. And then what I've done is I've added this knowledge article onto an incident type. So I've just gone into this other tab here where I've got our charge point installation. This is the incident type or job template that Martin's using to conduct the job. So it's our installation. And as part of this there, I've associated this charge point to that template. So now when the work order is scheduled and created, it's automatically pulled in so that Martin or the engineer, for example, will be able to see that on his device. So if I just hand back over to Martin, he'll show you what that looks like in the mobile app. To you, Martin, to continue.
So as we were in the service section earlier, you can see obviously the service task. If I scroll down on here, the linked article that Paul's just referring to is actually now in here. So if I click into this, you can then see, if I expand that, we've then got exactly what Paul mentioned, a step-by-step guide. If I want to span that, I can read that and work out what I need to do when I'm on site. I can click on images. I can bring that up on my mobile device to see more about that. I turn my device around. If I've got my orientation settings turned on and not locked, then you'd be able to see that image a bit better. And equally, we can embed videos. If I click on install step-by-step, it will just load this video and I can watch that quick video back. So everything that you'd expect for the engineer to be able to follow through if they're a new employee and they don't understand the installation details or something like that. It's just a nice little pointer to help them guys out. So that's there on the nice, against the incident type, like Paul said. It's just there as a pointer, really. That's the knowledge-based articles against the work orders. I think the next thing on our agenda was talking about the service reports.
Yeah.
So once we've done the knowledge articles, we can move on to the service reports. What we'll do technically is finish off the service tasks as we were doing earlier. I've now completed that. I've captured sign off. I've added some labour, 4 hours, whatever I've done on site, maybe following through that charge point installation. And then I've come over here to the notes section. We've got the ability to capture a customer's signature of such. If they've filled it in wrong, you can clear it and start again, or you can just fill something in. When you're happy, click on the little tick, and that's captured the customer's signature. I can then click save. That goes in against that. So effectively what we've now got is we've completed all of our tasks. The customer's happy. They've signed this off. Down here in the bottom corner, we've got the more option and the ability now to create a report. You can see we've got this report option in here. For today's benefit, just kept in the out-the-box sort of service report that comes with field service, but you can customize this. You can see it's just putting in all the details. So it's basically saying, look, this is where we went, this is the person, that was a technician, that was the start time, the duration, and there's the service task that we carried out. And then, of course, at the bottom there, that is the customer's signature on there. A couple of other things that you can then do with this. The one I like the most is just the save to timeline. So in the bottom left-hand corner here, you can see we've got the ability to save that to the timeline. If I just click on here, it says successful. And then, of course, you get this little notification to say report saved to timeline. Go to timeline from here. You can click on that. Or again, you can just see you click on the timeline here. And there it is. It now goes in as a report in a PDF version against this. Of course, off the back of that, you've got a lot of different options. You might want to pick this up internally and send this out in an email to a customer if you need to. It's up to you how you want to do that. But effectively, it's now a collective report attached as a note to this record. And I think that's pretty much it for the service reports and the knowledge-based articles through the mobile app. I'm just going to hand you back to Paul now, who's going to show you a couple of the new features on the schedule board. So back over to you, Paul.
Okay, yep, so we're going to look at the schedule board. So let me just again drag on my window, and I'll expand that so you guys can see a bit more. So we're just going to talk through the new schedule board. So those of you familiar to field service will recognise the schedule board. We've got the ability at the top right now to turn on the new schedule board, and this has been a bit of a phased release from Microsoft. So whilst they're working on getting the new schedule board to have full parity with the old, you can still sort of flip and flop between the two, if you will. So we still got our resources listed here, our requirements along the bottom, but actually what we're seeing is this is much more optimized. It's much quicker to load, much quicker to drag jobs on. Some of the most recent introductions has been the return of the daily, weekly and monthly view, where previously the new schedule board was limited to just the daily view. We've also got our filters here, which are hidden currently. We can bring those back into view. And then in the center here, we have our list of technicians and the jobs there. So you can see the job that we've assigned to Martin, who's gone under the guise of Mark Markham today, which he's obviously been interacting with on his mobile to date. We've also now got the map added back in. And we can see here where Mark, under the guise of Martin, is currently, and the job he's on. And we can also sort of drag this job, his route, sorry, onto other work orders that we have in the area, and this will create bookings for him. So if we know he's got a bit of capacity the rest of the day and he's not too far away from Reading, we could add him onto that job. We've always got the ability to drag and drop jobs on, and I think Microsoft have discovered that this is probably the most common method of booking, and certainly something that they've speeded up. So we can just literally take a work order from the bottom there and then find someone, you know, a slot there tomorrow for myself. And then when I was to log into the mobile app, I would see that job there and then. So I'm going to stop there. I think that's enough to give you an overview of the new schedule board. And we're going to discuss some of the analysis that we get off the back of work orders.
A couple of things to note. First thing you can see is the analytics and insights setting. You go to the settings area over here under change area. You scroll down and then we should see it. There it is. Analytics and insights in this settings area. As soon as you come in here, obviously you can see I've enabled this, but you can click into each one of these just by clicking manage over here on the right hand side, and then basically turning it on, just basically enabling that. Click save and close. That basically turns it on. The only thing you do need to be aware of, which obviously Microsoft tell you at the top here, is it is going to take up some sort of storage capacity. So as long as you've got enough storage to cater for this, I don't know how much it takes up. Can't imagine it's too much. You just need to make sure you've got enough storage and you're not already over your allocation on that before you do this, or else I think it errors if you are. That's how you turn it on. It's as simple as that. And then if I just go back over here to the service area, we're familiar to what we were seeing earlier, you can see you've got the Analytics and Insights tab down here. You've got this one here that says Field Service Histories. You can see when we click into it, takes a little while to propagate, you can see as such. For anybody who's been using the Customer Service Hub, you've got some of these nice reports in there as well, the Customer Service Insights. For anyone that's familiar with Power BI, it's built on the Power BI platform. So you've got slice and dice capabilities in here. So this is just the out-of-the-box report that you can see and that you can get. Gives you some nice overall figures. So out of all of this, got a nice filter on here. There's 565 work orders based on this date range. So this is the date range that we've specified here. If you wanted to specify an individual customer, you could. If you wanted to specify an individual status, it might be you're looking at the ones that haven't been posted or the ones that are still open and scheduled. Equally, you can specify the different work order types. So obviously this report hasn't been filtered out based on work order type, and it's shown us absolutely everything. Obviously, then just pick a value in here, say service calls. Then of course the report adjusts accordingly. So there's actually only one open work order for a service call. We've only done 3 work order service calls. If I change that and I pick, say, maintenance, there's 22 of those. So it looks like the bulk of our worker installations by the look of it. There we go. So there's 540 installations. But hopefully you can see by specifying and drilling down into these, and if you don't want that, you just untick it and then it's all, obviously it defaults to all value. Same thing on the service territories. If you want to specify an individual agent engineer, so if I pick Fiona, I can see physically what Fiona's been doing in said period of time over here. It's just really useful, just from a reporting purpose. And obviously, if you like what you see in here, you can click on the little pop out here, pops out into a focus mode, and then obviously you can do something with that, export that if you need to, take an image of it, send it to Fiona. But you can see it's just spotting trends based on Fiona looking at this seems to do a lot of installations. Makes sense if she's one of our installation engineers. If I again untick that, it's now showing everybody. So again, we can see work order trends by month, by year, the mean time to complete work order types. If we scroll down a bit further, broken promises. So our installations, broken promises, we've obviously arrived late. You've got some CSAT scores in here as well. If we set this up, then you'll be able to sort of look at the sentiment analysis as well, spotting some trends on this if your customers are happy or if they're not so happy, for example. And that's pretty much it, really. It's just a nice, you haven't got to go build a Power BI report yourself. You can turn the report on as long as you've got your storage. It just helps you analyze, some of your data based on completed work orders. I think there's a minimum number that you have to have in your system for a set period of time before it starts, training this model to actually analyze the data. But providing you've got the data there and it's a working instance, then this should work absolutely fine. And I think now the last two things on our agenda are going to be covered using a PowerPoint presentation because they're not actually available till September, as I mentioned earlier. The first thing is the resource scheduling optimization, the free bits that you can gain with that. And then the second part of our PowerPoint, just to show you what is coming as well, is the field service technician portal. So you can log in and see where your technician is in real time. So I'm just going to flick over now to the PowerPoint and cover off the resource scheduling optimization one to start with.
Yeah, so obviously a bit unfortunate that we can't physically show this today as we've done with some of the other demos, but this feature that we're going to talk about, the resource schedule optimization, the free element of it that's going to be available in every field service environment, is at the moment in public preview. Obviously we've tried to opt into that and get a sneak peek for you today, but unfortunately not, so we're going to be stuck with some PowerPoint slides. So obviously before, when we looked at the schedule board, we talked about the drag and drop, but as you can see there now, we've got two new buttons available, which Martin's kindly hovering over. So we've got the suggest and the book. So we'll just go through both of those options over the next couple of slides. So when you click the suggest button, what that's going to do is you've selected multiple requirements, you click suggest, and as you can see, that brings a little pop out over to the right there, and that shows you the potential options, the best options that the optimization engine's found. So that's going to be based on things like distance, characteristics, who's got the right skills to do the job. And once the dispatcher is happy with what's presented in front of them, they would literally click book all that you can see there, and that would create the bookings for that. If we just go on to the next slide, so again, if we'd selected the same four requirements, but we click the book rather than suggest, basically that will, without any sort of need for any further interaction from the dispatcher, literally create those bookings, again based on the same conditions, but you're not getting that preview beforehand. And then on the next screen, Martin. Yeah. Yep. So here we also have the option, I should say, sorry, to optimize just a particular resource. So we would just click on the resource there, which we've highlighted, and then you get an extra button there to optimize their schedule. So this is, effectively if you want to reorganize a person's job, a person's day, a couple of days in advance. So I think that's it. As I say, unfortunately we can't physically show you, but hopefully you can see that some of the powers and benefits that this will bring.
Excellent, thanks Paul. Unfortunately we couldn't get any better pictures, so sorry if it was a bit pixelated and you can't really see the screens too much. Hopefully you can sort of roughly see what it is, and if you've already used to seeing the schedule board, you can hopefully see what we're trying to show you. But that's the best images we've currently got today, until it's actually released and we can physically do a video on it. But moving on to the next thing would be the field service portal. Again, this isn't going to be released till September. This is set up under the Power Apps admin area, so make.powerapps, and you can see there would be a template available in here for field service portals. Currently, unfortunately, this is only a standalone portal, and it has been said that we would be able to incorporate these features into an existing portal down the line. I should imagine that would probably be next year, but certainly in the September release it would just be a standalone portal, so it should be quite easy for somebody to go in here and set this up. Once you've set this up, the admins then will be able to go into the sort of the customer portal settings area within field service, like so. There's a few things they can do. Obviously set up your branding and content. You can set your font style, your text colors, your background colors, things like that. This is just how it's going to render in the portal and how it's going to appear. So it's quite easy. You haven't got to stick sort of style sheets on there. You can just set a few parameters in here and that will pull through to the portal for you. There's another area in here as well for some of the settings that you can have for tracking the technician. So enabling the maps, showing the resource's name, showing an image of the resource as well. So if you've got images of your engineers out and about, when they're tracking this through the portal, they should be able to see what said person looks like. I think this works in a similar way to the way Deliveroo and Uber Eats work, and the Ubers. And obviously their phone numbers as well. So do you want to show that to the clients, yes or no? You basically just go in and say yes or no to most of these questions. And then the last thing is we've got the ability to set up email and SMS configuration using Power Automate. So obviously there's a connector using Power Automate. I think it's Twilio, and there's a few others if you've got your own subscriptions to other services. We can help with that as well, but I think the default one out of the box is Twilio. Providing you've got that set up, hopefully you can see on the screen what it's going to look like. So you go online, you're going to book an appointment, you'll get this confirmation to say your appointment is confirmed, the time and the date, roughly where it's going to be, the appointment number. The client will get a text message like so. You can see this one's sent from a Twilio trial account, as I said. So they can see that. Click onto that link, that will take them in and they can then see all the details around this. And equally, if you've got the email set up as well, then they get a nice email like so. Just saying that there's a reminder, you've got this booking coming up, blah, 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 blah. There's some details in here. If you need to embed the link to the portal in here, like you've got over here in your text message, then that's also capable of doing that as well. We just need to tweak the email template that goes out. They can click on the link and that will take them into the portal. Hopefully it will look something like this. So when they log into the portal, they'll be able to see the technician, and again you can see the image here, the phone feature, so they need to phone this person. These are those features you would turn on or off. Providing you've got them turned on, then you can see them in here. You can see physically where they are in the world with their little sort of the car or the van icon here. And obviously it will show you as well when you've confirmed a booking like so, and plots a little pin on the map for where this is. Again, just a few things down here, reminders will go out, as you just saw in email and text messages, travelling times. So if somebody's overrunning on a job, then there's a few things they can set in the background to then send gentle reminders to say, sorry, this person's going to be running late type scenario as well. And then obviously just the last slide here, you're all set. This is what it's going to look like, and just some other details, variation of this. And I think that was everything on our agenda, Paul, isn't it? I don't think there's anything else we've missed. I think.
No, yeah, I think that is everything. Probably, I guess we'll get our cameras back on in a second, open up to Q&A.
Try and work out how I can stop sharing my screen and turn my camera on. Yeah, give me a second. I'll do that, and then we can open up the floor to any sort of questions and answers you guys may have.